Putting Allah first means making Him the center of every thought, decision, and goal in life. It is not just about saying we believe, but about proving that belief through our priorities. Many people search for peace in wealth, relationships, success, or recognition, yet they still feel restless inside. True peace begins when the heart is connected to its Creator. When a person chooses Allah before everything else, they stop depending completely on temporary things that can disappear at any moment. They begin to understand that peace is not found in having everything, but in trusting the one who controls everything. A heart that remembers Allah becomes calmer because it knows that no difficulty comes without His permission and no blessing arrives without His mercy. This understanding removes the constant fear of loss and replaces it with quiet confidence. Life often becomes heavy because people try to carry burdens alone. They rely only on their own plans, their own strength, and the approval of others. This creates exhaustion because human strength is limited. But when Allah comes first, the burden feels lighter. A believer learns to make effort while leaving the outcome to Allah. This is where true peace enters. Instead of living with endless anxiety about what might happen tomorrow, they trust that Allah is already there. They pray before they panic, they make dua before they complain, and they remember that every test has wisdom hidden inside it. Peace follows not because life becomes perfect, but because the heart becomes stronger through faith. When Allah is first, priorities begin to change. Salah is no longer treated as an interruption, but as a source of strength. Time with Allah becomes more valuable than time spent chasing distractions. A person starts asking not only what do I want, but also what pleases Allah. This shift transforms character. Patience increases, anger decreases, and gratitude grows. Even during hardship, there is stability because the believer understands that this world was never meant to be the final destination. They stop expecting permanent happiness from temporary things and begin investing in what lasts forever. This mindset protects the soul from disappointment because hope is placed in Allah, not in unstable worldly outcomes. Many people think peace comes after they solve all their problems, but Islam teaches that peace comes before the solution, through trust in Allah. The Prophet taught that hearts find rest in the remembrance of Allah. Dhikr, dua, and sincere worship are not small acts. They are medicine for the soul. A person may have little money, unanswered questions, or difficult trials, yet still feel inner peace because their heart is anchored in faith. Another may have every worldly comfort, yet feel empty because they are far from Allah. This shows that peace is spiritual before it is material. It begins inside, not outside. Sometimes Allah removes things from our lives not to punish us, but to bring us closer to Him. A broken plan, a delayed dream, or a painful loss may actually be the beginning of peace if it pushes the heart back toward Allah. Many people only discover the sweetness of faith after disappointment. They realize that what they were chasing could never satisfy them the way closeness to Allah does. In sujood, tears fall that no one sees, but Allah sees them. In silent dua, pain is released that words cannot explain. This private connection builds a kind of peace the world cannot offer. Putting Allah first also means trusting His timing. People suffer greatly when they compare their lives to others or rush what Allah has delayed. They question why success is late, why marriage has not happened, or why healing takes so long. But peace comes when they accept that Allah's timing is wiser than their impatience. What is written for them cannot miss them, and what misses them was never meant for them. This belief frees the heart from unhealthy attachment and helps a person live with dignity and hope instead of desperation. When Allah comes first, peace follows because the heart finally returns to where it belongs. It stops running endlessly after the dunya and starts walking toward Jannah. It learns that the purpose of life is not simply comfort, but worship. And in that worship, there is a deep calm that cannot be explained by worldly logic. A person who trusts Allah may still cry, still struggle, and still face hardship, but inside they carry something powerful, certainty that they are never alone. That certainty is peace. When Allah comes first, confusion begins to fade because life gains direction. Many people feel lost not because they lack intelligence, but because they lack spiritual clarity. They are surrounded by choices, opinions, and pressure from society, yet they do not know which path will truly benefit them. They chase goals without asking if those goals are meaningful. They compare themselves to others and feel behind. This creates mental noise, emotional stress, and deep uncertainty. But when Allah becomes the priority, the heart gains a compass. Instead of asking what the world expects, the believer begins asking what Allah wants. That question simplifies everything. Confusion often comes from trying to please everyone. People change themselves for acceptance, follow trends they do not believe in, and make decisions based on fear of judgment. This leads to inner conflict because the soul knows when it is being dishonest. Putting Allah first removes this confusion by giving a higher standard. If something pleases Allah, it matters. If it leads away from Him, it is not worth the price. This clarity protects a person from wasting years chasing approval that never satisfies. They stop living for applause and start living for purpose. Many times confusion appears during hardship. A person asks why something happened, why prayers seem delayed, or why life feels unfair. They may question their future and even doubt themselves, but faith changes how these moments are seen. Instead of assuming that every delay is rejection, they begin to trust divine wisdom. Allah sees what they cannot see. What feels like a closed door may be protection. What feels like silence may be preparation. This understanding does not answer every question immediately, but it removes the panic that confusion creates. The believer may not know the full plan, but they trust the planner. Istikhara is one of the beautiful gifts in Islam for moments of uncertainty. It teaches that confusion should lead us to Allah, not away from Him. When facing an important decision, the believer seeks guidance through prayer, asking Allah to open what is good and close what is harmful. This creates peace because the decision is no longer carried alone. Even if the outcome is unexpected, there is comfort in knowing it was placed in the hands of the one who knows all things. Confusion fades when trust increases. Another reason confusion disappears is because sins themselves often cloud the heart. Constant distraction, disobedience, and neglect of worship can make a person spiritually blind. They may know the truth, but feel unable to follow it. Returning to Allah through repentance clears that heaviness. Tawbah is not only forgiveness, it is clarity. A clean heart sees differently. A clean heart sees differently. It recognizes what truly matters and becomes less attracted to what destroys peace. Sometimes the answer people are searching for is not more information, but more sincerity in their relationship with Allah. When Allah comes first, even goals and ambitions become clearer. A person still works hard, studies, builds, and dreams. But now those efforts have intention behind them. Success is no longer just about status. It becomes about serving, growing, and pleasing Allah. Failure also becomes easier to handle because identity is not attached only to achievement. If something does not work out, it does not destroy them because their worth was never based on dunya alone. This emotional stability removes much of the confusion people feel when life does not go according to plan. The world constantly changes, and if someone builds their identity only on temporary things, confusion will always return. But Allah is constant. His guidance does not change with trends. His mercy does not disappear with failure. His promises remain true through every season of life. That is why putting Allah first brings such powerful clarity. It is like turning on a light in a dark room. The obstacles may still exist, but now the path can be seen. Confusion fades not because every answer arrives instantly, but because the soul finally knows where to stand. Prioritizing prayer before pressure means choosing connection with Allah before reacting to the demands of life. Modern life is full of pressure, deadlines, responsibilities, family expectations, financial struggles. Many people wake up already feeling overwhelmed, as if the day is chasing them before it even begins. In that rush, prayer is often treated as something to fit in later, after everything else is handled. But Salah was never meant to be the last task on a long list. It was meant to be the foundation that gives strength for everything else. When prayer comes first, pressure loses some of its power because the heart is no longer facing life alone. Salah is not just a ritual, it is a meeting with the Creator of the heavens and the earth. It is the moment where the believer steps away from noise and stands before Allah with honesty. In sujood, there is relief that no worldly conversation can provide. A person may not have solutions yet, but they leave prayer feeling lighter because they've handed their worries to the one who controls all outcomes. This is why those who protect their prayers often carry hardship differently. They still face challenges, but they are not crushed by them because they refill their strength throughout the day. Pressure makes people reactive. They speak in anger, make rushed decisions, and carry silent stress that damages their peace. Prayer slows the heart down. It creates pauses in the day where the believer remembers what truly matters. 5 times a day, the call to prayer reminds us that Allah is greater than every problem. This reminder changes perspective. What felt impossible becomes manageable. What felt urgent becomes less frightening. Instead of being controlled by stress, the believer learns discipline through worship. Prayer teaches patience because it trains the soul to pause before panic. Many people search for productivity techniques, motivational speeches, and endless planning systems to manage life, but they forget the spiritual source of strength. The most productive heart is the one connected to Allah. Oh, Fajr brings barakah to the mornings. Dhuhr breaks the distraction of worldly work. Asr reminds the soul not to become lost in routine. Maghrib calls reflection as the day ends, and Isha closes the night with surrender. Each prayer is not an interruption, it is protection from emptiness. Success without prayer may look impressive from the outside, but inside it often feels hollow. When someone says they are too busy to pray, often the truth is that life has been arranged around pressure instead of purpose. Putting prayer first means reorganizing priorities. It means trusting that obedience to Allah never takes away from success. It adds barakah to it. Time feels different when Allah is remembered. A few sincere moments in salah can calm hours of anxiety. The believer understands that if Allah puts peace in the heart, even difficult tasks become easier. But if the heart is disconnected, even small problems feel heavy. There are also moments when pressure becomes emotional rather than practical. A person may feel heartbreak, loneliness, disappointment, or fear of the future. In these times, prayer becomes more than obligation, it becomes survival. Tears in sujood often heal wounds that words cannot explain. The prayer mat becomes a place where masks fall and the soul speaks honestly. No performance, no pretending, just vulnerability before Allah. This is why so many people return to prayer during their darkest moments. They realize that worldly distractions cannot carry pain the way faith can. Prioritizing prayer before pressure also shapes character. It teaches humility because no matter how successful someone becomes, they still place their forehead on the ground before Allah. It teaches gratitude because every prayer is a reminder of blessings often ignored. It teaches consistency because worship is not based only on mood. These qualities strengthen a person far beyond the prayer itself. They become calmer in conflict, more patient in waiting, and more hopeful during uncertainty. Life will always contain pressure. There will always be responsibilities, deadlines, and unexpected trials. But the believer who protects prayer learns that peace does not come from removing all pressure. It comes from remembering Allah within it. Salah becomes the anchor in a storm. It does not always change the situation immediately, but it changes the person facing it. And sometimes that inner change is the greatest miracle. Seeking Allah before seeking people is one of the most powerful shifts a believer can make. Human beings naturally look for support, comfort, and solutions from those around them. When something goes wrong, many rush first to people, asking for advice, validation, help, or rescue. While seeking help from others is not wrong, the danger comes when hearts become more dependent on creation than on the Creator. This creates disappointment because people are limited. They misunderstand, they leave, they fail, and they cannot control outcomes. But Allah never fails. When a person learns to turn to Allah first, their entire emotional life begins to change. Many people suffer because they expect from people what should only be expected from Allah. They seek complete healing from relationships, total security from money, or perfect understanding from friends and family. When these things fall short, the heart breaks deeply because it was attached in the wrong place. Seeking Allah first does not mean avoiding people. It means putting trust in the right order. The heart depends on Allah, while the hands still work with people. This protects the soul from unhealthy attachment and teaches emotional balance. Dua is the clearest expression of seeking Allah first. Before explaining pain to the world, the believer explains it to Allah. Before chasing answers everywhere, they raise their hands and ask the one who knows what is hidden. This creates dignity. It reminds the believer that they are never begging from people while forgetting the owner of everything. Sometimes the world closes every door just so a person learns how powerful sincere dua can be. In the silence of the night, one honest prayer can change what years of human effort could not. Seeking Allah first also means asking for guidance before making decisions. People often choose based only on emotions, pressure, or appearance. Later they regret what looked good but lacked blessing. Turning to Allah through istikhara, prayer, and reflection protects from many unnecessary wounds. The believer understands that not every open door is meant to be entered. Some opportunities are distractions and some delays are mercy. When Allah is consulted first, even painful outcomes carry peace because the heart trusts divine wisdom over personal desire. Another beautiful result of seeking Allah first is emotional freedom. When someone depends too much on people, their mood rises and falls with human behavior. A message left unanswered ruins their peace. Rejection destroys their confidence. Praise becomes addictive. But when Allah is first, self-worth becomes stable. A person still values relationships, but they are not emotionally imprisoned by them. They know that acceptance from Allah matters more than approval from people. This makes them stronger, calmer, and less desperate. This principle becomes especially important during hardship. In pain, many people search desperately for someone to save them. But often Allah allows loneliness so the heart can learn direct reliance on Him. There is a special closeness that develops when a person realizes only Allah fully understands what they carry. In those moments, faith becomes deeply personal. The believer discovers that even when nobody checks on them, Allah is near. Even when words fail, He hears what is hidden inside the chest. That awareness creates a strength that no human reassurance can replace. Seeking Allah before people also improves relationships rather than harming them. When expectations are balanced, love becomes healthier. People are appreciated without being worshipped emotionally. Forgiveness becomes easier because perfection is no longer demanded from others. Marriage, friendship, and family ties become stronger because the heart is not asking humans to play the role of Allah. Instead of controlling people out of fear, the believer trusts Allah and treats others with mercy. The prophets themselves showed this lesson clearly. They faced rejection, loneliness, and impossible situations, yet their first response was always turning to Allah. Whether in fear, grief, or uncertainty, they relied on divine help before worldly means. This is not weakness. It is the highest form of strength. It is the understanding that creation is only a means, while Allah is the true source. When someone seeks Allah first, life becomes lighter. They still work, ask for advice, and build relationships, but their heart rests in the right place. They stop expecting people to be their saviors and start trusting the one who has always been near. This shift transforms disappointment into patience, fear into tawakkul, and loneliness into spiritual closeness. The world feels less heavy when the heart knows exactly where to turn first. True success begins with submission because success in Islam is not measured only by wealth, fame, or visible achievement. Many people spend their lives chasing status, recognition, and comfort, believing that reaching these things will finally make them successful. Yet countless people who seem successful from the outside still feel empty inside. They have everything people admire, but they lack peace, purpose, and spiritual fulfillment. This is because real success starts from the heart's relationship with Allah. Submission means accepting that Allah knows better, trusting His commands, and choosing obedience even when the nafs resists. Without that foundation, worldly success can become a beautiful-looking emptiness. Submission to Allah is not weakness, it is liberation. People often think freedom means doing whatever they want, but endless desires can become a prison. Chasing every impulse leads to regret, addiction, and instability. Submission brings discipline and direction. It teaches the believer that not every desire should be followed and not every opportunity should be taken. Saying no to what displeases Allah is actually a form of strength. A person who controls their ego is stronger than one who simply follows it. This discipline creates the inner stability that success needs. The first area where submission shows itself is in worship. A person may claim to love Allah, but true love appears in obedience. Salah, fasting, honesty, modesty, patience, and repentance are all signs of surrender. These actions are not restrictions, they are pathways to elevation. When someone submits to Allah in private, Allah often opens doors for them in public. Barakah enters their time, relationships, and effort. Things may not always happen quickly, but they happen with meaning. Success becomes more than achievement. It becomes something blessed. Submission is especially tested when life does not go according to plan. It is easy to trust Allah when everything is working, but true faith appears when prayers feel delayed and doors close unexpectedly. In those moments, the believer chooses surrender over rebellion. They may cry, they may feel pain, but they do not turn away from Allah. Instead, they hold tighter. They understand that Allah's wisdom is greater than their understanding. This is one of the highest forms of success, staying faithful when disappointment tries to pull the heart away. Many people define success only by comparison. They look at someone else's career, marriage, income, or popularity and feel behind. This mindset creates constant dissatisfaction because there will always be someone ahead in dunya. Submission changes this by shifting focus from competition with people to accountability before Allah. The question becomes not am I ahead of them, but am I pleasing Allah? This creates peace because the standard is no longer public approval. A person may have little in the eyes of society but be deeply successful with Allah. Even failure looks different through submission. Losing a job, facing rejection, or experiencing hardship does not automatically mean a person is unsuccessful. Sometimes what looks like failure is actually divine redirection. Allah may close one path to save a person from harm and guide them towards something better. Submission allows the believer to accept these moments with dignity instead of despair. They continue making effort, but without arrogance when things go well and without hopelessness when things go wrong. The prophets are the greatest example of this truth. Their success was not measured by easy lives or worldly luxury. Many faced rejection, poverty, exile, and pain. Yet they were the most successful people because they lived in complete submission to Allah. Their hearts were aligned with divine purpose. They teach us that success is not about comfort. It is about closeness to Allah and faithfulness to truth. When submission becomes the foundation, everything else gains meaning. Work becomes worship when done with sincerity. Family becomes an amana, not just a social role. Wealth becomes a tool, not an identity. Hardship becomes a test, not a punishment. This perspective transforms ordinary life into a path of worship. True success begins the moment a person stops asking only how to win in this world and starts asking how to be successful in the next. Allah first. Everything else finds balance because the heart was never created to be stable without its creator at the center. Many people feel like life is constantly out of control. Too much stress, too many responsibilities, too much emotional weight. They try to fix this imbalance by organizing schedules, changing relationships, or chasing more money. But the deeper problem often remains untouched. The soul itself is unbalanced because Allah is not first. When the connection with Allah is weak, even blessings feel heavy. But when Allah is placed first, balance begins to return in every area of life. Balance does not mean life becomes perfect. It means the heart learns what deserves the most importance and what should remain secondary. Many people reverse this order. They make dunya the center and push deen to the side, giving prayer whatever time is left after everything else. This creates emptiness because temporary things are being asked to provide permanent peace. Putting Allah first restores the correct order. Worship becomes the foundation and everything else is built around it. Career, family, friendships, and personal goals still matter, but they no longer control the heart. One of the clearest signs of balance is emotional stability. Without Allah at the center, mood often depends on circumstances. If people praise us, we feel valuable. If plans fail, we feel worthless. If money increases, we feel secure. If it decreases, panic begins. This is exhausting because dunya constantly changes. But when Allah is first, identity becomes more stable. A person knows their worth is not based only on success or failure. Their peace is connected to faith, not just circumstances. This allows them to enjoy blessings without becoming dependent on them. Relationships also become healthier when Allah is first. Love without spiritual balance often turns into attachment, fear, and unrealistic expectations. People expect others to fill emotional emptiness that only Allah can fill. This creates disappointment and pressure. But when Allah is first, relationships become lighter and stronger. Love is rooted in mercy, not desperation. Marriage becomes partnership in faith, not emotional worship. Friendships become support, not addiction to validation. A heart attached to Allah can love deeply without losing itself. Work and ambition also find balance through this mindset. Islam does not teach laziness. Striving is part of faith. But ambition without spiritual boundaries becomes dangerous. It can lead to pride, neglect of worship, broken families, and constant dissatisfaction. Putting Allah first means success is pursued with principles. Halal matters more than speed. Integrity matters more than image. Rest matters when the soul needs renewal. This protects a person from building an impressive life that feels spiritually empty. Even hardship becomes easier to carry when Allah is first. Tests still come, but they do not destroy inner balance. A believer understands that pain is part of life, not proof of abandonment. They cry, but they trust. They struggle, but they remain connected to Allah. This faith prevents trials from becoming identity. A problem becomes something they face, not something that defines them. That perspective is powerful because it protects hope. Putting Allah first also creates balance between dunya and akhirah. Some people become so lost in worldly goals that they forget death, while others misunderstand spirituality and neglect responsibilities. Islam teaches harmony. The believer works for this life while preparing for the next. They smile, earn, build, and love, but they do so with awareness that this world is temporary. This awareness removes both arrogance and despair. Success is enjoyed with gratitude and loss is handled with patience. The beauty of Allah first is that it simplifies life. Decisions become clearer because the question becomes simple. Does this bring me closer to Allah or further away? That clarity removes much unnecessary stress. Instead of being pulled in every direction, the believer walks with purpose. They may still have busy days and difficult seasons, but there is order inside the chaos because the center is strong. When Allah is first, everything else finds its rightful place. Time feels more meaningful, relationships feel healthier, success feels less empty, and hardship feels less frightening. The outer world may still be demanding, but the inner world becomes calmer. And that inner balance is what many people spend years searching for in all the wrong places.